Hello, Doris Amy. Salami, I keep coming up with all battle raps and they're just pouring out of me that Wu-Tang stuff.
No man's land, even worse for aliens. Since I work with Magic, Trump treat me like a Mexican. But I use 22 Trumps that'll trump any Trump. Punk any chump that challenged me to a battle on a spiritual plane. Put the blood on the script, rep the ritual game. Run the whole universe, they don't mention my name. They don't know my name, they don't know where I came from. I'm so arcane, don't do arcane. Bitch, I do magic, part of the sea. Dotted the I's, cross the T's. Caution, please, there's no function. Honor the ancestors I came up with. Talk to Buddha and he told me about Jesus. Told me about God making his image. Just look at the features.
Like, but really neat, very beautifully alliterated little battle raps. So next time you want to come to me and have a battle rap off, I'm going to kill you because I'm a samurai. And why you ask yourself, she's drunk, is she high, she's been out, what's she been doing? Yeah, I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up in the head.
Fucked up in the head, I was born this way, but I can't carry on this way, so I meditate. Shock the energy within me levitates. Kiss the Shiva and I realize I am everything. The microcosm of the macro. When the flower blossom, you forget about the seed, but I know thyself, they won't germinate me, but I know thyself. Yeah, came here to start a nation. Told her, black is beautiful. She called me racist. She created her own reality. She said, fuck empathy, it's all about salary. What about Mickey and Mallory? Love is what you make it. Tapping in the inner child in me. Burning that old energy like calories.
Peace. Good evening. It's the evening and we're doing a daily energy reading. I won't be available tomorrow morning, so we're going to consolidate today and tomorrow in a daily energy reading. So be sure to join me on the notes, because the only thing that I could do today is follow these notes step by step and then have kind of a digital background so you can follow up if this information resonates with you. So got a lot to talk about today, and you know, since it's 2 days, I'm going to talk about everything, and I'm going to open up the floor for questions. That's why I did it at this time, because I got a little bit of time, you know, that we can kind of, you know, if this information seems too dense or too complicated, then really follow. If you following along and you paying attention and certain things lose you, be sure to ask questions. And if you don't fully understand what I'm trying to say by the end of this video, then, you know, ask questions, even in the comments, in the email, because it's very important that everybody understands what I'm saying, or else I'm not doing my job correctly. I view this as, you know, my job, whether I'm getting paid for it, whether I'm not getting paid for it. The idea is moksha. The idea is release, and not just my simple release, my peace. It is not valid until every Buddha, every enlightened individual is released from the ego and fully revealed to their soul. So, you know, that's why we continue to go so hard. That's why we daily progress in discussing this information, is for release. We don't want to be bound, and we don't want to be subdued by any negative forces, and we want to be free to express ourselves freely. So I meant to do this at the beginning, so I'm going to just do this now and give a deep gratitude to all of the ancestors, all of the higher spirits, all of the higher thought forms that made this moment possible, whether it is the spirits who created Ethernet technology, the spirits that created, you know, streaming technology and things of that nature, that allowed us to share this moment together and, you know, deal in this consciousness and, you know, I don't do videos in the evening, but the energy feels so good in this moment that I'm thinking that I should do more videos in the evening just to capitalize on this darkness, you know, or this dark matter or ancestral energy. So I will not hold you any further. We'll deal strictly with the information. So be sure to follow me along with the notes so you don't just think I'm a crazy person on the internet spitting a whole bunch of flim-flam that makes no sense. So we have been studying the astrological precession daily. Each day we focus on a particular planet and we study its aspects. We study its Sabian symbol. We study its deacon if need be. We study its sidereal aspects. You know, we just deep dive into the planets and the different symbolisms, the different mythology, and really tap into the higher celestial realms through the sharing of information that's available for everybody, and we present it in note form. So if you're interested in joining the notes team, just email me and say, Hood Mystic, I want to be a part of these notes, and I'll simply add you. And that's simple. You can follow along with me and you won't just be like, you know, listening to me on the internet. You'll have something tangible to work with. So with that being said, the Sun conjunct Mercury at the 9-degree mark of Aquarius, or in sidereal Capricorn, represents a power symbol in action. Now, the power symbol might seem strange unless you've been following along. We spoke to developing a power symbol in particular. Masterly Foolish even created a little snippet of that video and posted it on his page, and that was the President of the Universe video, if you're not privy, but the link is included in the notes. But ultimately, if you took that information seriously around January 18th and you conceptualize the power symbol, now we just didn't want you to conceptualize a power symbol and be like, you know what, that's interesting, you know, this power symbol that I've created, or I mentioned the flag that me and my wife created, just different things to represent your energy, and not simply as a passive form, but, you know, acting out this energy and really showing what this energy is about. And the beautiful part about this power symbol, if you were to take it seriously and if you were to create it, was that it gave you extra powers and extra abilities to tap into whatever energy that you are creating. So it's not the problem of the world, it's not the problem of society, it's simply a problem of you acting out or creating your power symbol, right? So if you haven't been creating that power symbol, if you haven't been abstracting yourself and viewing yourself in its highest form, and you just been like, well, you know, I'm just a human being out here and I made mistakes, then you kind of missing out on what we're trying to discuss and what we're trying to exactly build on. The moon conjunct Mercury is simply acting out the vision, and so Mercury conjunct the sun puts a little flavor of making some money and, you know, creating enterprise for yourself. And let's not be afraid of that, and let's work with that particular energy. And this energy in particular is sextile the moon in the 1st degree of Sagittarius. And so a sextile, if you're not familiar, represents a particular effort, but something that's tangible, something that's relatable. Sextile, an analogy, would be like walking to the corner store. It's going to take a little bit of effort, but, you know, you can make it. You know what I'm saying? If you can make it, you know, even if you can't make it by foot, maybe you got to make it in your wheelchair. Maybe you got to get assisted. But the reality is, if you need to go to the corner store, you can make it. And that's the idea of a sextile. So the root energy that we're working with is Sun conjunct Mercury at the 9-degree mark of Aquarius or Capricorn. And that's developing your power symbol. And maybe that's a little bit difficult for you if you're stuck in the ego, stuck in the material world. You just worried about the aesthetics, making sure you look good, make sure you got money. But then it's a lot of us that are creative, right? some of us that draw, some of us that make music, some of us that, or have creative expressions of our energy. And so the representation or the abstract of creating a power symbol might be simple and easy to grasp, but it might be a little bit more challenging to you if you're not. So it just depends on you, how creative you are, how right brain centered you are, and the different things that you can begin to do to express that part of you. As opposed to ignoring that part of you, you have to act out the vision. So the vision in theory and logic, it ain't here yet. It ain't here yet, and that's okay. So whatever we're discussing right now for you, the individual, and manifesting whatever you're trying to create, this can find you at any point in time of your life. So I know I probably got a lot of Hollywood actors on here listening, thinking about their next role, and I got some, people in the projects trying to figure out their next meal. But wherever you're at, and this is real life, this is kind of what this work presents me, the opportunity to talk to the best and the worst that life has to offer, and the realization that the best ultimately is the worst, and the worst is ultimately the best, and really reconciling that within myself and finding a balance. But let me digress just a second. Wherever you find yourself, we all have a point that we're trying to manifest in the future. I don't care. Nobody has reached the pinnacle of life. And in that is a lot of solace, and in that is a lot of peace, that from this moment, we all have to begin to act out our vision. We can't simply have a vision, because that is pointless. It doesn't make any sense. But, if we simply act out the vision, this energy is sextile the first degree of Sagittarius. And so the moon being in the first degree of Sagittarius, you really don't, it's hard to pinpoint the degree of the moon because it simply moves too fast. So what I tend to do with the moon is highlight the decan. Therefore, we can highlight the particular energy, and each decan, beautifully enough, is assigned a particular tarot card that assigns with the particular energy. So if it gets too complicated, Sagittarius is ruled by the first decan is ruled by Mercury and Jupiter and Hood Mystic. You said too many words, you lost me. Okay, the first decan of Sagittarius is ruled by the Eight of Wands, and so the Eight of Wands represents speed. And so I want to read through this, even though it's been plastered, and maybe it's too small, you watching it and you got an Obama phone and you can't really read. We got to have some humor for the evening, because y'all wouldn't be even here if y'all didn't laugh a little bit throughout the throughout the information. So minus that, I just want to read this and kind of speak to some of the things that we spoke to previously and show the alignment. So things are beginning to move into action now as adrenaline fuels your system. It is time to make a move, so get moving. Acting out the vision. It is time to make a move, so get moving. So you understand the sextile nature of the situation. Okay, we're not making the move in the direction, so it's time to actually act out. But when we act out, what happens when we act out? Why is energy trying to get you to be more active than you usually was in particular areas where you usually wasn't? Why? Because you have real momentum building behind you, and all you have to do is take the first step, and it will snowball after that. Each opportunity will appear exciting and wonderful, and that speaks to Ananda, which we spoke about in the new moon article which dropped yesterday, which is not happiness, what is dealing with happenstance or specific things that make you happy and specific places and specific behaviors. And it ain't joy either, where you smiling through some messed up stuff. Like, a lot of y'all consciousness people done develop the habit of being in toxic relationships and toxic spaces and incorporating conscious ideas in the toxic relationship. I had an idea earlier, but it lost me where, So this candle, this Arula candle, it's my reading candle. I burn it every time I have a reading, just for my readings, and I burn it out. So this is my magic candle. The idea of me thinking that this candle is magic don't really mean shit. But when I have a wife, or I have a homeboy or a homegirl, and they be like, oh shit, don't touch Kyrie's magic candle, that's his candle that he do readings for, it's automatically magic. Therefore, that's why the purpose of relationships should be on that level. Meaning that if you're developing your spiritual practices and you're serious about that shit, and you walk in with your spiritual candle or your spiritual feather, and your boyfriend or your girlfriend look at you like, if you don't get that stupid ass feather out of my face with your stupid ass, then if that negatively affects you, meaning that it takes the magic away, it takes the reality of what you created, then your magic ain't as strong as it would be if you brought it in the house and your girl was like, oh my fucking God, look at that feather, look at the aura. And you like, right, babe, you see the aura on this feather? I swear, it must have came from one of them eagles from planet Earth on the documentaries on Netflix. Yeah, it gotta be a famous feather. Right. Okay, this is our fame feather, babe. All right, this is our fame feather. Like, you gotta be really like that in your relationships. If it ain't like that, I can only bear witness and I can only speak facts on my personal experience. Once, because I always been weird, I always been into this shit. And I always had girls that been like, okay, weird nigga, zip your zipper down, or, you know, drop down low, you know what I'm saying, take care of business or whatever, like, keep your deep ass over there. Yep, that's interesting. Well, really? Take your zipper down. Like, these are the type of women that I've attracted, and no disrespect to them, but when I would speak what I'm saying, it'd be like, oh, Kyrie talking this shit again. But what happened with my wife, I would tell her shit and she'd be like, oh shit, let's go. Or I'm interested. Or I see the same thing you do. Or let's go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was a part of my craziness and it manifested into something beautiful. Like, we have a family based upon us having, like, it's weird, but it works for us. Like, I couldn't put nobody into our system and be like, okay, enter into this weird shit, and then you be like, okay, I don't get it. Like, cause you haven't experienced, like, we've been traveling, we've been hitting the mounds up, we've been doing all types, we planning on traveling more and creating more spiritual memories and things of that nature. And we'll get into all of this. This is a long ass video, so I'm really gotta, let me take a deep breath and calm down, because I still got a lot to talk about and I don't want it to be something that's like super exciting. I really want this information to really resonate. So I say all of that to say, a relationship and magic, if you're dealing with it by yourself, then deal with it by yourself. Don't be trying to get people to believe in it that don't really believe in it, because they truth and that shit is fake, or this nigga crazy, which is their truth, will infect your magic and pollute whatever you trying to do. So keep your shit pure. And it's best to be pure with the masculine and feminine polarity, even if it's your homeboy, homegirl. But if y'all believe in the same shit, like y'all both believe that this is a magical book, and y'all read from it like the Bible, essentially that's all the Bible is. It's the book that everybody believes to be the truth, but it's hella spiritual books that have the same resonance or even stronger when it comes to understanding life, but everybody don't agree on it. On the Rig Veda, everybody don't agree on the Bhagavad Gita. You know what I'm saying? Or the Torah or the Kabbalion. I mean, enough people agree to it that it's still a book, that it exists and the energy perpetuates. But we'll get into this a little bit later too. So hopefully we can understand the sun sextile moon, the sun conjunct Mercury, and we still got our mind on our money today, so let's not forget that. We're dealing with a lot of different information all at once, but as my job or my responsibility, it comes like, you know, splattered all over the table, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta just kind of piece it together and kind of make it make sense. So I don't want it to be so confusing that you think that it's stupid. So that's why I'm providing all of these different resources so you can follow along. And then if you able to follow along, do your own research with the resources provided so you can get an understanding for yourself. And once you get that understanding, develop an application. And this all speaks to Mars in the 19th degree of Aries. Individuation, which we'll talk about later, but individuation means you are an individual. And you need to come into yourself. And once you come into yourself, you don't come into yourself and develop more fantasies for yourself about what you're going to do with your consciousness. Now you're about to do, you know, fairs. And now you're about to do retreats. And now you're about to, you know, all of these different things which aren't negative. But what is you actually doing? Is you acting out the vision, or are you dreaming about the vision? Because it's a lot of y'all that dream. Everybody dream. Everybody want to do something. Everybody want to accomplish something. Everybody want to be something. But who out here really doing it? Because the people that's out here doing it, they really making a difference. And so how to do it, right? How to do it is something that we'll talk about. Remember the title of this video, Psychic. I don't want nothing to be forgotten, even though that this is a stream of consciousness, but I somehow want to crystallize it in some form that one person, that's why I use you a lot and speak to the individual, because if one person can say, you know what, I'm about to stop dreaming, I'm about to do it, and you be like, well, I want to do it, I don't know how to do it. Don't worry, we about to figure all of this shit out in this video, so just relax, and we're gonna do it in a metaphysical, esoteric way. So even if you don't want to get off your couch, we can still implement the exact things that you need to begin to act. And you know, maybe you don't know how it's going to play out, but you're going to still have to walk it out and figure it out. So the doer alone learneth. So if you want to learn, there takes a level of action to say, I want to learn something because I want to accomplish this based upon my initial instinct. And a key block, I just want to note, a key block to this is social drives versus instinctual habits, where you instinctually know what you want based upon your fantasies and things of that nature, but your social drives are the things that you actually do. You actually want to do something more than what you're actually doing, but your actual drives don't permit you to do anything that your instincts provide. So, you know, you don't want to jump off the deep end with it, of course, because you, like, nobody wants that for nobody, but you want to develop a level of instinctual of, I feel I want to do this, so I'm going to do this. And then developing a rhythm, the law of rhythm. So the law of rhythm is simply floating through life. Floating through life is very important if the ocean is a metaphor for how we're going to survive in this plane of existence. If we did not live on Earth, would you be thinking about hustling and grinding? Because if you hustle and grind on the water, you will drown quicker than a person who's floating. But then you got to realize life is about majority water. So anything that applies to earth applies to water, and the water principle might be a little bit stronger because you are a water being. You're 70% plus water. So the laws of water apply to your ass. So therefore, with that being said, You just have to simply relax into some shit. And that's the right thing to do. That's the hardest thing to do for people, to kind of relax and really find their center. I'm laughing, but I took years of practice of centering myself to be able to let the external world go and tap into my true self. It was never easy. And I'm not even going to tell y'all about the dedication that I put into the practice of meditation and the sacrifices that I had to endure. And I could never even promote that. But there has to be a level of imagination in your life that rings true. Because if you're simply relying on the external world to be your indicator, to be your guide, then you're not able to really tap into this individuation. The Sabian point speaks to a magic carpet, and I did a lot of research on the magic carpet, and some things that I wanted to talk about, it really didn't apply. Some things maybe did, but I just want to say that the magic carpet, in essence, in all of its lore, in all of its story and fiction and fantasy, the primary principle to a magic carpet is freedom and expansion based upon curiosity. Even the idea of being on a magic carpet is that you got to imagine a place that you want to be at, and then the magic carpet magically take you there, but you got to be able to conceive or visualize the place that you want to go. First and foremost, this is the foundation to anything that we're going to talk about, because if we start talking about, manifestations and things of that nature, and you're like, well, it ain't worked before. Okay, well, then let's not even start. And this goes back to the interdependent relationships, where we both got to believe in this shit magically, that we don't see this now, but we making a commitment to create it or bring it into existence based upon magic. And we both have those same ideals, because I can't have these magical ideals by myself. I can't believe in this shit, or I can't believe in the fundamental psychological, philosophical, magical, mythological processes more than the mundane modern science lies placed before you 8 hours a day, inundating you in public school, shutting down your imagination. So I can't be the, you know what I'm saying? I can't be the only one sitting here like I manifested some shit by my imagination. Like, I didn't steal no ideas from nobody. I created shit from my imagination. I saw shit in my dreams and I brought it to reality. And then I showed niggas and been the beacon, and not to brag, but I just want everybody to be like, I saw something in my mind and I brought it, and I didn't let nothing stop me. And I figured it out. As opposed to, I couldn't do it. I was afraid to do it. My baby daddy, he broke my heart. He ran out on me. My baby mama, she cheated on me while she was pregnant. I don't even know if that baby mine. I don't even feel like doing nothing today, Hood Mystic. I done had a bad day. Baby mama called me on that bullshit. Oh man, we supposed to work on this business plan. Man, man, I'll call you tomorrow. All right. So you got to balance your instincts with your normal living and get outside of your limits. Maybe this is difficult, but this energy happens to trine Jupiter, which gives us the idea of rebirth. And rebirth can only be found in relationships to new people, right? If you rebirth yourself, it's the people that you're see this new version of you, because you can never have a rebirth around people who know you as Lil Tink Tink from around the corner that used to steal from the corner store. No matter what, they always gonna look at you as Lil Tink Tink, the one that used to pick his nose and eat his boogers. And you talking about I had a psychic reclamation. Don't you see my dreads? I don't even use makeup like y'all. I wear cocoa butter. You need to stop wearing weaves. You need to start wearing cocoa butter like me, because I'm woke. Like, okay. This was all before it became a fashion statement, before it came a social revolution. This was all about developing your psychic and mental equivalent with the solar lights and celestial energy. So let's not forget, and let's bring it back to the purpose, and not feel like, you know, we gonna save the world one cocoa butter jar at a time. So this part of the video is where I get super wordy. I have the direct notes to this, and we're all just dealing with etymology. So I'm gonna go through this one time, and if it don't make no sense to you, I'm gonna use somebody that we all know as an example of how they utilize psychic individuation and how they use it to this day to maintain success and overall connection to the soul. And they do it in such a way that's blatant in your face. And once I go through this the first time, it might seem a little wordy, it might seem a little difficult to process, but once I use the guest speaker to initiate how this actually plays out, you might look at it a little differently. Okay, please give me time to explain this and how this all ties into the energy and how, you know, connecting the dots really served me in this conversation. So psychic individuation is the conversation, and what's flashing on here on the slideshow is etymology, so we can get more of an understanding of the self. And the self is explained by Carl Jung in 5 fundamental principles that are really wordy, but until you break it down to the etymology, it really makes sense. If you look at it from the words, it's very difficult to process and to understand, but once you deal with the etymology and the root words, it's very simple. So psychic individuation, the first thing that we want to discuss is psychic. Okay, psychic is not a noun, so you cannot be a psychic. Psychic is a word that describes other words. You could be a psychic individual, meaning that you of or pertaining to the human soul. In the human soul, if that's too big of a word, you can bring it down to the inner life. So psychic just means or pertains to the inner life. And my inner life and everybody else's inner life, all 8 billion people, have different inner lives or different souls. The idea is to tap into your personal soul, and this process is psychic individuation. And individuation can be defined as the achievement of self-actualization through a process of integrating the conscious and the unconscious. Period, point blank. But some words that I threw in there: self-actualization through a process. Pause. Meaning that it is not self-actualization through a YouTube video, through a Facebook post, through a business. It is through a process of integrating the conscious and the unconscious. In the conscious, if you want to just, if it's complicated, you don't really understand what the conscious and the unconscious is, I'm gonna make it really simple for you. The conscious is everything pretty, the unconscious is everything ugly. So you have to have a real process as of integrating everything beautiful, everything wonder about yourself, everything that we love about you, and everything ugly, everything that we hate about you, and integrating it and making it be one thing. And I know that sounds a little hard to understand, but give me a second. Because when you think of the self, you have to think about business and you have to think about enterprise, because legally, a business is a person. Legally. Meaning that Pepsi Corporation, Coca-Cola Corporation, McDonald's have the same rights as your black ass, your white ass, your yellow ass, your purple ass. Same rights. So if you want to understand yourself a little better, it serves you to understand structure. And so we're dealing with adjectives, and psychic being an adjective, psychic structure, meaning how is the human soul structured? How is your soul structured? Your soul is not structured through analysis, perceptions, thoughts, images, wishes, fantasies, effects, internal objects, or contents. How much you've been hurt, how happy you are, how you feel, what you're dreaming about, your fantasies, things that you imagine, the thoughts that you have, the perceptions that you have, how much you think about shit, how much you analyze shit. None of that is how the soul is structured. The soul can only be structured through making things happen. Only people make things happen. Nobody perceives nothing and make nothing happen. Nobody think about shit and see nothing happening. Nobody looks at images, wishing don't make shit happen. Fantasies don't make nothing happen. You might argue with me, but those things within themselves make nothing happen. Of course you can have a wish. Of course you can have a thought. Of course you can have a perception. Of course you can have an analysis that leads you to do something, but 10 times out of 10 it ain't lead you to do shit, but have more of those same things because those things feel good. And you gotta have a operational system to adapt what your soul is telling you, first and foremost. And the idea is that the soul is telling you 2 different things at once. It's telling you something good, something bad. You got to figure out how to integrate it. Sound too difficult? Please stick with me. I'm gonna tie it all together. Please give me a moment. So right now we got structure. We got structure, the psychic structure, how the soul is built, and the processes. Only people make things happen. And from making things happen, what did you make it happen? You can't just be making anything happen. You know, I got a business. All right, what is you doing with it? You know, I got an idea. All right, what is you doing with it? Until you have a developmental process, a system, defined steps, tasks such as strategy, organization, concept generation, marketing plan creation, evaluation, commercialization of a new product, a constant cycle that creates innovation, that routinely converts ideas into commercially viable goods and services, then you're not really doing anything. Because nobody is putting food in your mouth. And if they is putting food in your mouth, you are at the mercy of them. So therefore, you might as well take the ideas that you've had or the ideas that you possibly could cultivate and simply not deal with them in an abstract space. Try to bring them into reality. And you can easily do this by bringing them into a particular structure. So we have process, we have structure, and the next point we have is the transcendental postulate. Postulate just means fact. Transcendental simply means an idea beyond the scope, but we got shit to bring it into scope. And it's broken down into 4 areas: quantity, quality, modality, and relation. Once I figure out how much I want, then it's going to be based on the quality. That's the reality. The modality is how am I going to bring this into reality? What's the possibility? What's the actuality? Is money going to fly out of a plane? Or am I going to hit the lottery? Or am I going to have a business and I'm going to have a particular amount of clients? How many clients is reasonable for me? Oh, but now we speaking about clients. Oh, now we got to bring in relations. The shit that you don't want to deal with. You know how many isolated people want to be successful in business, but they don't want to deal with people. They don't want to have relationships for real. They just want to post deep shit on the Instagram every day and try to build clientele on that way. Oh, you post the deepest shit. Let me fuck with you. I ain't never seen nothing that deep before. You must know something. Let me book a reading. Like, man, you got to get down in the gritty grime and deal with people if you want their money. They got to trust you. You got to have reviews on top of reviews, because it's a million other people like you doing the same thing you doing, believe it or not. So the difference between the transcendental postulate is how deep you can get into your relationship bag. Because the more people you know, that's the more variability of a quantity of happening. Like, if you just figure it's just you by yourself and you gonna manufacture everything, who the hell you gonna sell to? And so this is a part where a lot of people get they struggle with. And this last part, well, the second from last part, is the effective experience. Branding. A lot of people get hard, they don't understand branding. Maybe just me. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I just don't get branding. Even though people say, like, you brand yourself good. And I'm like, I don't know how I brand myself good. Like, I don't know, I'm just myself. I don't feel like I know shit about branding. Until today. Until the internet, baby. Till I started looking up the etymology of branding. And at first, branding was like to hit a hot coal on iron and make something hot and, you know, burn you. And I was like, how the hell is the etymology of branding related to marketing yourself and branding yourself to a hot coal sticking you and burning you? How is that relatable? Like, I don't get that shit. I think about it, keep looking. I look up this article, like, man, I don't get it. So just thought about it for a second. Then I guess a light bulb went off and I'm like, oh shit, making an imprint. So let's just run through this real quick. Making an imprint, branding yourself. How you really brand yourself is by making an imprint on people's subconscious. How do you do that? Effective does not equal good. Effective just mean effective. So where a lot of people try to create the best product, try to create the best service, maybe you just a little bit aggravating and unpredictable and you not effective, you just good. Learning to be effective. Because a experience is not effective unless it's remembered. And it ain't just about, you know, like, I don't know. It's like how you trigger somebody, how you create an imprint on somebody is really how you really tap into the idea of creating a better life for yourself and having a creative business. You won't have a business or any type of anything that you're trying to create for yourself that's sustainable, that's going to create for you if don't nobody remember it. I can't, who the fuck is the hood mystic? Like, no, you remember the hood mystic because it's kind of easy to remember, my nigga. I didn't know that shit. I was just the hood. I was in the hood and I was a mystic. It just, like, you know, I'm following signs. You know, I didn't take it personal, but, you know, it was a stroke of genius because, shit, if it was another hood mystic, I'd be sorry. Oh man, this shit is on me. But anyways, an experience is not effective unless it's branded. An experience is not effective unless it highlights contrast. Now, this is the point that really helped me solidify the idea of branding and the side of imprinting rather, and really contrast. Like, as much as people love me, it's a lot of people that really can't stand my black ass. Like really, I really, you know, I really am the person that's scratching the chalkboard, and people don't cut me off either. They just, you know, get aggravated and irritated every single day. and it's something that they can kind of expect, which seems negative, but I'm literally branding myself because people hate me. You know, and I guess I didn't design it that way. I don't want them to not like me, but I realize that my thoughts and ideas come from a real place of integrating my subconscious and unconscious and investigating that. Why do I like this? As opposed to be like, you know, why do I like this? I'm gonna investigate into some foolishness, you know, just because I feel like I need to investigate it. And, you know, this is a perfect, like, an example of contrast, right? If you wanted to really make some money, sell guns, right? Or if you really want to make some money, sell sugar, right? If you want to make some money, sell cheap ass hamburgers that's probably not even meat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you make hella money doing that. You know, having quality Afrocentric products, good luck with that. It might happen for you, but you better motherfucking throw it on. You better throw it on the president and cocoa butter his ass down. You know what I'm saying? And for people to really want to buy your shit, you see the cocoa butter that, you know, them Afrocentric ladies that slathered on Trump. Everybody be trying to buy your shit now because, you know, you done did something that really created a negative memory or imprint, like, you know. So when it comes to developing products and developing marketing schemes, you really have to factor that in. How is this ad going to be remembered? How is this promotional poster going to be remembered? You motherfucking on PixArt scrambling, putting some shit together, you think people gonna remember that shit? Or investing $200, $300 on a photographer, or going on Fiverr and dealing with the premium to, you know, come up with a video that explains what your product is at a high level, and somebody looking at that shit like, damn, I ain't know Shireen was doing it like that. I'ma remember that. That created an imprint on me. And the last part of the self is the archetype. So we got, as a little quick recap, we got structure, developmental process, transcendental postulate, and effective experience, aka branding, and the final aspect of the self. And the most important part of the aspect of the self is the archetype. The archetype is the original pattern in your DNA from which all your copies decided to flip and rip and dip and flip and rip and dip for thousands, if not millions of years over and over again. At the core of your DNA is an original pattern that nobody can stop you from tapping into, except yourself. Because you created yourself a million times over, and now you're dealing with that reality to come back to that primordial phase, meaning that no matter what happens to the company, the person who created it, if they did their paperwork right, can still collect residual incomes from the profit, whether he owns it or not, or whether you even know. Like, how many people you work for that you know the owner? You don't know that nigga. That nigga collect his check every day though from your labor, believe, like, because you don't know yourself, and he figured out the process, or he played the game the right way, and now he bossed up. Because it's not about the individual, it's really about the business and the creation of the system. Like I said, we dealing with Mercury's effect of the sun, so if we talking about money and making money, I'ma just apologize, because if we was talking about any type of other energy, we'd be talking about something else, but we're not. So if you don't like this conversation or the subject, you could always watch Dame Drops eat that hamburger. I'm sure he had a new location eating a new fire ass hamburger. Probably got some bacon on that bitch, some ranch, some cheddar cheese. You know what I'm saying? Like, get into that. You feel me? Really get into that. So, you know who's utilized the psychic individuation? I told y'all I was gonna have a subject, or somebody that can kind of represent this energy in full totality, and that would be Jay-Z. Now, Jay-Z, first and foremost, was a person who was raised up in the New York mystery school systems and things of that nature. If you look up the older Jay-Z tapes, he was super conscious. So I'm sure in one way or another, he might have got a hold of this information. And so from that, his unconscious or dark side, I would say, would be the drug dealing or that lifestyle, and the conscious would be his rap skills. And so he utilized a process of integrating his negative tendency where, you know, he has raps where he done shot at his brother. Like, you wouldn't hang out with a nigga that shot his brother. Like, you're like, oh, that's Rainbow. He just shot his brother because he owed him some money. You'd be like, oh, I ain't fucking with that nigga. Like, for real, like real shit. Like, you're not dealing with nobody that shoot his brother. But if he took that experience and became a rapper and made millions of dollars, you'd be like, Rainbow, what up, bruh? Remember me back on 79th Street? We used to 2-on-2. We used to kill them boys on 2-on-2, bro. I got next. No? Okay. So I don't know why I said that, but anyways, so you just really take your negative experiences and don't let it beat you up, but create something new. And so, for instance, Jay-Z said, I got this structure, I got this rhyme pattern, and I got a way of creating these albums and flows, like people like it and things of that nature. Okay, I got some partners now. I got Dame Dash, I got Biggs. All right, bet. We gonna come up with a fact. We gonna start this record company and we gonna put out albums and we gonna make money. So now we're gonna deal with the transcendental postulate or the transcendental fact. How much money or how many CDs you can create with this system? Well, if we get signed to a record company, we can make an infinite amount of CDs. It just depends on the particular demand. All right, cool, bet. What's the quality or the reality of you being a superstar or a rapper? Well, everybody in the hood think I'm nice. Like, I battle LL Cool J, I battle DMX, I battle anybody who stepped to me. I won. Like, I'm the coldest rapper, like, in New York. In New York, got all rap, like, you know what I'm saying, there's a million rappers in here and I'm the best one. So the modality and the possibility and the actuality of him being a good rapper, making money doing it, is probable. Only one thing: you need the proper relationships. So based upon consumers, based upon business relationships, you create those proper relationships. Everything right. Rockefeller Records got the CDs out, people loving it, we growing, we making money. Okay, how are we gonna grow this? How are we gonna sustain this? We gotta brand yourself. And how is we really gonna brand yourself? Well, I'ma just rap super dark. Like, I'ma just, like, if you listen to Jay-Z's lyrics, like, you know, songs like R.I.P. and, you know, songs where he's like killing people in cold blood and things of that nature. Like, if this person was in front of you and, you know, he's like, yeah, had to kill this nigga, you owe me some money, you'd be like, all right, I'll talk to you later. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, for some reason, people listen to these lyrics and be like, man, I wish I could meet Jay-Z. And it's just like, it's a little weird if you really think about it on a personal level. But if you think about it in creating a memory or creating a brand around really being extreme and saying dark things of that nature, it really highlights contrast. It really is like, you know, this good person is down for the action and I like him. And, you know, that's another way for it to be sustainable, by branding yourself and, you know, keeping that positive look and, you know, not really doing nothing overtly. But if you listen to the lyrics and you listen to the content, it's super dark. So the same way McDonald's feeds you human flesh, but you can go there and use Wi-Fi or use the bathroom at a particular time and it's clean, that's enough contrast for you to just not hate McDonald's altogether. Pepsi might, spend 50 million for a Super Bowl ad, but it got your great grandmother, high diabetes. But that Super Bowl ad was fire though. They had Ray Charles singing "You Got the Right One, Baby" remix. You know what I'm saying? Like, they brought that back. That shit was fire. Or like, I don't know, they'd probably do that shit this year, some stupid shit. But anyways, how do we really imprint the people and really get them to back up Jay-Z as like this greatest rapper? By an archetype which he kind of adopted as being Jehovah, and kind of like utilizing all of this formula to become one of the biggest rappers, instead of just like out here grinding and like, hustling. He kind of spoke it into existence and utilized all of his faculties and brought it into realization. Now, he could have did this consciously or he could have did this unconsciously, but it all plays in any structure. If you need help with understanding this, like, we can literally break it down to how to really identify the soul in any like, I literally talked through this with my wife and really applied this to anything that we're trying to grow. If we could utilize these steps, then it's really no stopping us for manifesting. So that was wordy, and that was a lot of information that I kind of wanted to get out based upon, I don't even know. I ain't even talk about everything, but I just wanted to talk about that in particular. So I hope that made sense. I wonder if there's any questions, or did that resonate, didn't resonate, stupid, boring? I don't know. It makes super sense to me, but like, once again, if it only makes sense to me, then I'm not doing a good job. One quote: the aim of individuation, this is by Carl Jung, the aim of individuation is nothing less than to divest the self of the false wrappings of the persona on the one hand, and the suggestive power of primordial images on the other. So on one hand, you can bring things into your life by the art of suggestion. On the other hand, you have primordial energy that is indestructible. All you have to do is deal with it and interface with it. Well, thank you. Any questions though? Thank you. Appreciate that. Silence. Silence is good sometimes. I really do feel like this information is transformative, so it would hurt that a person would listen to this and just be like, you know what, I don't get nothing that nigga was just talking about. Like, that shit is beyond my... Like, peace, Rob. What's going on, bro? Peace. I'm embracing my weirdness so I can attract my weirdo. That's the only way. If you ain't weird, If you ain't weird, then you can't really mess with me, because I'm on some weird shit constantly. And I'm gonna exhaust you, because you're gonna be like, can you stop being weird? And I'm gonna be like, no. I'm not gonna ever stop being weird. Peace. Everybody on the live, thank you for joining me. Hope this information resonated and made sense, really. But if it didn't, can't keep hoping for the same shit. That's kind of my job though, so we gonna keep this shit pushing. Like I said, I did this video this evening because I'm not gonna be here Tuesday. Got some things to do early and then throughout the day, so I'll be back Wednesday for another question and answer and another daily energy reading. What's going on astrologically? Damn. What pleasures have I been investing in? That's a good ass question, Kim. You a super psychic. I've been investing in my pleasures and figuring out different ways to maximize the profits. And I'm working on a business with my wife surrounding our personal pleasures and things of that nature. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to. I ain't trying to catch a case on YouTube, so my pleasures might be a little bit too sensual for the listening public. Peace, Sapphire. Yeah, it's a lot of different things going on astrologically. I guess an overview would be a lot of different electrical stimulation that's causing a lot of energy to rise up. And with all things, I would analogize it as dust. And in order to see, you must wait for the dust to settle. So, you know, wait for the dust to settle if things are super, super crazy. Don't make assessments when shit is real cloudy and you can't really see. Things are cloudy and things are really confusing for a particular reason. And that particular reason is for you to go within yourself. If you're concentrating on the confusion on the external, it's just simply highlighting the confusion on the internal. Each person is living their own particular reality, and for you to pinpoint someone else's reality is not very valid. You need to pinpoint your own reality and master self. The people who are not having turbulent times are the people that have mastered self and thus mastered their external reality, and they're not complaining. And they'll tell you this, but you wouldn't listen. So if you are in a dark space, if you are in a confusing space, be sure to find your center within and master your external from that space. It's very simple, but very difficult. Peace, Kim. I'm hoping that you're really, really enjoying yourself, Kim, because you're a very special person, and I always want the best for you. I really mean that. Come on, man. All that shit I was talking about, it wasn't like y'all ain't have no questions, bro. Come on now. Don't do me. Let me drink some water. Big gallon. Nothing. Y'all going to bed? Y'all tired? Okay, Laura. Yeah, watch at the beginning. We talk about the astrological influences at the beginning. Peace. Peace, man. Great shift of humanity. Peace, Kim. Any advice on integrating your conscious and your subconscious mind? I would say don't be afraid of what you find. And take on as much as you can handle. So much so it's like, you know, I'm afraid of black cats, so I bought a black cat. I'm afraid of black cats. Like, I think black cats is bad luck. But I couldn't buy no other cat but a black cat. That's a way of exercising my unconscious mind. All types of things that, you know, basically if you have a fear, try to safely walk towards that fear without overwhelming yourself or inducing panic attacks or anything to that nature. Try to investigate why you're afraid, therefore that fear doesn't paralyze you and take over your life and control you. Take some power over your fear. The older you get, the harder you get, the harder it is, and the more you get fixed into this matrix. So if you are at an age where you're not getting any younger and you feel that, then really challenge yourself more. Really challenge yourself. I hope that advice was sufficient. The significance of a grand cross in a natal chart would be specific to its elements and its planets, but within itself, any grand astrological concept, it has to be examined planet for planet, and that's why an astrologer, at least a good astrologer, is good, because there's just some shit that you can't Google. You'll have to interpret it. So if I say what a grand cross is, you know, 4 different elements opposing each other and squaring each other and kind of just squaring off and dealing with each other face to face. Well, that's okay. I get that. But what elements and what energies are we specifically talking about to get to a understanding? So we can just use our imagination, but ultimately a grand cross is something that you really deal with and really overcome to lead to your success. I imagine a grand cross would be something like really overcoming a disability, whether it's physical, whether it's social, whether it's psychological, but not getting over that disability, and that disability being something that defined you, but that be the thing that really propelled you. So now you a astrophysicist that, you know, ain't got no hands or something like that. I don't know, just an example. Or you came out of some adversity to be this great person. So I would imagine that would be a grand cross. If I, like, that's how I would see a grand cross. I would have to, let me see if I can look up any grand crosses online real quick and try to prove it through celebrities. My fault if that kicks you off. I'm just trying to find any celebrities that have a grand cross real quick. Anybody that we know. I don't know none of these people. And I'm sure all of these people got interests and stories, but you only know them for their success. Steven Seagal, Patrick Swayze. I'm trying to see if it's anybody that we can all relate to. Kenny G. You don't know nothing about Kenny G's struggle, but I'm sure he has some. Cicely Tyson, she had a Grand Cross, so we just know that Cicely Tyson is just a great person. We don't know her adversity, the things she had to come through. John Coltrane had a Grand Cross. I know for a fact he been through a lot in his come up, but he's just known as the greatest jazz musician ever lived. Like, that's his claim to fame. It's not like I overcame heroin addiction. Like, you don't know that he did heroin unless you read his story. Miles Davis, the same way. Dennis Rodman. So the theme with a Grand Cross is that I've been through a lot, but you don't know that I've been through a lot. I've overcame it. Kevin Durant, Derrick Rose, Kevin Love, if you're a basketball fan. I'm trying to see if it's anybody really that can speak to this energy. I'm imagining whoever asked that had a Grand Cross in their natal chart. So yeah. You destined to do good things, great things. Don't let your adversity slow you up. Like, don't let your adversity slow you up. Young Berg, he got a Grand Cross. Now, Young Berg, he powerful in the music game. Like, he really popping in the music game. But, you know, it could have been a point in time in his career where he could have been a real laughing stock and he could have been a joke. But, you know, you don't look at him like that now. Maybe Jennifer Lewis. Oh my God. You know, she for sure been through a lot, but she kind of walk on roses. Like, you just think of her as just being like, she just got that house and be singing those songs, and she be like, I can't even think of her songs. If I could, I would sing them right now. Yeah. Any more questions? Can you go into the energy planets to the recent Grand Cross during the eclipse and how it's affecting the matrix overall? I don't think I seen no Grand Cross. I don't think I seen a Grand Cross during the eclipse. Maybe. I could be wrong. Yeah, I didn't see a Grand Cross during the solar eclipse. It was a Grand Trine, but it wasn't a Grand Cross. A Grand Cross is very distinct. 4 planets in a chart, and they oppose and they square. But it wasn't a Grand Cross during the solar eclipse or lunar eclipse. But the lunar, I think the solar eclipse or lunar eclipse, solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse was just a exposition of gifts that's been bestowed on the planet. And if you actually want to work with those gifts and develop those gifts and show what those gifts are about, you can really do something good in the world. Like, spirit ain't just gonna bless you so you could have a good relationship. Like, you can have a good relationship and be blessed by spirit, don't get me wrong, but it actually wants you to create something real in the world that's of use and, you know, sustain yourself and build yourself. It don't just want you to be broke and be a deep nigga on YouTube or be a deep woman on YouTube. It just wants you to really be prosperous in abundance, and it wants you to really have a modality for it to show, you know. It's going to come in various ways, but you got to act upon it. And so it's really the opening up to what you possibly could be. Like, as opposed to like, oh, we black, we oppressed. It ain't going to never, I'm a man or I'm a woman and all of this. Like, you know, all of these Me Too and Men Too movements and things of that nature is to get you into gender wars and to get you into gender ideology to keep you in a space where you're limited, period. Is straight up mind control, because outside of that is all power and all knowing. I discovered Carl Jung when I was probably like 12, and I used to read his material when I was 12. I didn't know what I was reading. I just liked the way that he spelt his name, and I developed like this rap name, and I called myself Young Kais, but I ain't spell it like Y-O-U-N-G. I spelled it Y-U-N-G, like Carl Jung, and like that was always somebody that, it was this quote that I read a long time ago that Jung was speaking for a person in the future that was going to be able to translate his words and put it out to the masses. And I really felt like I was that person because I really understood Jung, and I'd be like, yo, I get what he's saying and I want to kind of talk about it. So the fundamental process of me starting a YouTube channel was to kind of talk about Carl Jung and how applicable he was to, you know, understanding yourself at a deep level. So we here now. Yeah, Grand Trine for sure. Yeah, that Grand Trine, a Grand Trine within itself speaks to an ease, because trines speak to inherent. So a Grand Trine means a grand inheritance, and when you deal with the ancestors and you deal with the celestial sphere, they're not dealing with your life to bring more adversity and more trauma. They're trying to really free you. The idea is moksha, the idea is release. And so all of these energies were fire signs. And so fire signs on one level and then water signs on another level. So it's very much of inciting. So fire, the first sign on the astrology chart is Aries, and Aries within itself speaks to initiation, and Sagittarius within itself speaks to pathfinding and path working. Leo within itself speaks to information, and information meaning that the formation is within and I have to seek it. So it could be the heart or it could be reading a book, but Leo within itself means to this knowledge that I've been taking in, now I have to formate it and formulate it. And so it all talks about the individual making initial steps to development and what it's going to lead to great success, you know, the greatest that life has to offer. But it don't matter if you don't initiate it. That's a good trait to get rid of, Kim. You shouldn't be a people pleaser. You should do you. Do you, that's what I say. Hey man, thank y'all for joining me tonight. I hope this information was of value to you and you could, you know, take this forward and really utilize it to, you know, take your stuff up another notch. Like if you didn't take anything from this video, man, if you got a shorty or whatever and you talking about this magic and they trying to look at you like you crazy, then you know that ain't the one. If this consciousness don't move them like it move you, then you know that ain't the one. Don't be trying to convince them, because it's somebody that's going to pick up on your vibration and really take it to the next level. Like, be really mindful, man. Don't let people fool you and trick you. Because I think Wednesday we're going to talk about energy vampires, because it's that season again. They out here trying to feed, and, you know, don't be bait. Peace.